Wrestling brain all the weekend. 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 Wrestling brain all the weekend.
Welcome back to Wrestling Brain. I'm Matilda Scenes at Josh Custodio, and you are watching the Wrestling Brain All Out 2024 preview show. It's a return to the show that started it all, sort of. I guess that's all in more so, but under the AEW, you know what I mean. You're listening, you're smart people. You know what I mean. Speaking of smart people, I'm joined by two of them today. You know him as the host of WBCW Meltdown. He's the strongest guy on the channel. If we had a battle royale of the hosts, Slack would be last man standing, and that's hard for me to admit. The great Torque Penderloin. Hi, Slack. How we doing, man?
Doing well. Happy to be here. Looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be crazy busy. I'm excited.
Am I right in saying All Out is a return to the one that started it all, or is that All In?
Ooh, man.
Because All In sort of starts it, but it's not
All
AEW.
In started it all, but All Out has so many highs over the course of its existence, like insane peaks that people associate with the beginning of the ascendancy of AEW. I feel like, you know. You got
totally
the Danielson Cole debut, the first Punk match. You got a lot of stuff going on there.
Nice to have somebody bring up CM Punk before me on a stream. And joining Slack and I, you love him. You love his writing. He's Sam Fels. Hey, Sam. How we doing, dude?
We're all right. We're all right. To answer your question, I don't associate the original All In, the original one, with AEW necessarily. I know that it started AEW. It's the genesis, but All Out is what I identify as like that's an AEW show.
Yeah, All
so
In.
It is the tent pole to me.
That's how I think too. It's their signature show, and All In is almost a Ring of Honor production in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
yeah, true.
Worth noting, gentlemen, we're here 2 weeks later after the 50,000 people met in Wembley Stadium to watch All In. We did a preview and review that you can find on this YouTube channel if you're somehow still interested in that. But I want to go to you guys not with our normal 1 to 7 scale, because I feel like it's kind of hard to judge, not the full build. I rather just want to open up this discussion, Sam, if you don't mind, with talking about if you ran AEW, would you keep this 2 weeks apart pay-per-view relationship? What do you think of the all in, all out 1-2 punch?
I wouldn't keep this layout necessarily, but I am intrigued because it sounds like next year it's going to be Forbidden Door All Out within 2 or 3 weeks of each other. And I'm curious to see that, because Forbidden Doors, it's kind of its own thing. You know, you can run dual track feuds or stories up to that and All Out and sort of more quickly pivot. I don't think it's something they should do every year or regularly. It's just a little too tight. I don't know how it affects their numbers. I want them to be successful, but other than that, I don't really care. But it's a little bit of a knee jerk thing. I think they've done this one much smoother than last year's.
Definitely.
This All Out feels much more heavy. And we really enjoyed last year's All Out. Slack and I were there. We had a great time. But this one feels there definitely was a trial run for them last year, and this one feels like they've got it nailed down. But it's still a hard pivot. I wouldn't think it'd be something they should stick with.
How about you, Slack? Does that ring true for you? Is this just a little bit too much to carry, or is the turnaround too quick?
I mean, yeah, it is a little bit weird, and I think they just, they like this spot being in Chicago, having this pay-per-view. I think it's important to Tony. But like Sam said, if they are literally switching it up next year. And I do believe that Forbidden Door being sort of its own kind of contained universe thing helps go into this with a little, again, I don't know what to say, because I still feel like I'm hyped about this card. I loved All In. So I'm not by any means saying that it's not good, because it feels pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm really interested, and quite frankly, I think it'll be good next year to have the Forbidden Door come before All Out without 2 shows of the same roster, if that makes sense. So
see, I'm on the other side of the fence as you guys. I like the breaking up of the sort of latent quarter time kick drum of the monthly pay-per-view, boom boom. I actually like watching the lead up to All In with sort of a half eye towards the, and granted, I'm 7 layers deep on all this stuff. I don't like, I mean, it's, I like thinking about this stuff and watching this stuff and fantasy booking this stuff, so these sort of things I gather might be appealed to somebody extremely nerdy like me over some others. But I'll actually be sad when I like the all in, all out relationship a lot this year. Last year, it felt that one week, then another, felt basically impossible. I don't really know how you do that right. But I actually think we enter this Saturday night, which again adds a giant. I know that I feel like a broken record. I say this on every show, but this, I can't express how much the Saturday night pay-per-view slot does for me. I'm a boxing fan. I'm a longtime MMA fan. Saturday night is all right for fighting for me. Like, this is where this is when I order the takeout. This is when I throw it on the big screen. Like, I like this setup. So I look at this card. Sorry, Simon, go ahead.
I would, if they continue with it, I would like to see them market it or promote it more as a block.
Agreed.
This is, instead of one show then the other, we're heading into whatever you dub it, all season. And I know it sounds a little like WrestleMania season, but you know what I'm saying? That it's going to be a tradition of, we have 2 shows and this is how we do it in late August and September, and sort of build them together. I know you can order them as a package in certain places,
yeah,
but I would like to see them sort of present it as their like main peak of a season, instead of peaking for one show. Like, this is our main block, and I think there's a way to do that. If they do that, I would be on board.
Yeah, Slack, I actually agree with Sam here. I love AEW so much. Big cheerleader for them. Enjoy Dynamite's my favorite TV show of all time. However, I do kind of feel like they've done a bad job of making any one of these pay-per-views, all in included, to be honest, even with the much higher attendance than everywhere else, where it's clearly their big show. I agree with Sam that it probably should be all out, but doesn't really come across that way. Do you agree with me, for one? And can you think of anything they could do to sort of build around this, the seminal show in a bigger, more meaningful way?
I do agree. I think they all have different names and sort of different sets, but they don't feel elevated above one another. I mean, obviously, yeah, all in does feel like that, but that's their stadium show, so it's a little bit different. Because of the way that they kind of do creative, where it's sort of like whoever's available, that's what we're running. And if the people who we want to have these bigger picture stories with aren't available, we'll just kind of put it on pause. We're not going to ram it through. Because if they did, the Hangman Swerve story would be much further ahead than it is, because Hangman took paternity leave, obviously. So you don't have like with WWE, I hate to talk about this fucking company, but they literally we got Roman and he's probably going to face The Rock at WrestleMania. And we know that that's going to happen. And we're not going to do it at any point during the year until we get to this specific month. AEW doesn't really have that. Yeah. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because I don't give a shit about that match or whatever. So
they need retired part-timers to exist in their ecosystem. They need like Mox to retire and Brian to retire in order to have these
they will have
once a year.
They will have Brian as a quote unquote part-timer probably pretty soon. I don't think he'll be ready for next spring, but maybe if he's healed up, he could come back for the next big stadium. I don't know. You're right, though. There isn't a huge difference between any of them, except that World's End right now feels like the crappiest one.
Which is shit, because I love that date. I really love having it there.
It's a great thing.
I'm not doing anything that week, ever.
Right. I couldn't agree more, Sam.
I just saw a picture of the card, and I was like, oh my God. Like, that's weak stuff. That's not good. Swerve against Dustin Rhodes was on that card. I think people need to realize.
Oh my God.
I know.
I will also say I think they'll be running it this year the same night as GCW in Seattle, and I'll be in attendance at that. So maybe Slack will be running the post show in between Christmas and New Year's this year.
You never know. I'll be around.
Slacky Claus. All right, guys, let's get into this. Slacky Claus may be the worst thing I ever said on this show.
It's up there.
You and I both, our beards are getting a little whiter though, so
it's true.
Coming up on us. Gentlemen, we go through these cards from top to bottom. I do think that this one, how it's listed, probably isn't how it's going to play out. Let's start with what I think is going to be your main event on Saturday night. The unsanctioned lights out steel cage match between one Swerve Strickland and one Hangman Adam Page. Slack, do you agree with me that this main event's, and So much has been said about this feud. We're fresh off of last night's Dynamite with the childhood home being burnt down.
Oh yeah.
Wax poetic about this, man. I don't want to set you up and hallway you too much here. What do you have to say about this sort of all-timer AEW feud as we head into Saturday night?
Yeah, I think it's been confirmed it's main. Swerve's tweeted it at some point, so it is going to main.
There we go. Thank you, Swerve, and thank you, Slack.
Yeah, Swerve's also in the Discord, so join. But yeah, what can you say? I mean, I think people were kind of wondering why they weren't doing this at All In, and I think they shut everybody up pretty much immediately with how you can go back to this. It's as intense as it ever was. Instantly, you put these two in a ring face to face, and you cannot look away. That's what it is to me. Like they stand in the ring together, and it's the best TV, best wrestling TV you're ever going to see. And the way they built this feud, it's not breaking the fourth wall. It's not some kind of like wink, nudge, nudge. Do you get what we're seeing in the dirt sheets? It's just two guys who hate each other's guts. They've invaded each other's homes at this point. They're in each other's personal lives, threatening each other's families. Who is the best wrestler? Hangman said, "You're never going to be as good as me. I don't think you deserve to win anything. You're a horrible person. I can't believe people are cheering for you." And he's let that consume him. He's become a different guy. And Swerve used this. If you go back to the very first interaction that they ever had, Swerve came out completely unexpectedly and said, "I want your spot. You don't deserve it. You're not taking advantage of it. I want it." And he did what he had to do to get there. So it's sort of like Swerve climbed up the ladder the way he had to get to where he is, and Hangman sort of taking the low road almost down the ladder, and he's ruining and sabotaging his own progress to take out one guy. And it's just so good that I don't even think this is remotely the end of this. I think these two guys are going to be synonymous with each other for the end, for the entire time that anyone's alive and thinks about AEW or these two guys. And that's such a cool thing that you can say, that it's just like the hottest, most hate-filled thing that they've ever done. It's unbelievable. It's so good.
It's great to see a match with this much heat, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah, this is actual cinema. Rare is the time where I think, and I know I'm not the only one. I've been reading stuff today and listening to stuff where like you're actually in fear of what you might see on Saturday. Like I'm it's not like I'm gonna turn away, but like I can't remember how many any other matches or a handful where I'm like genuinely nervous about what might happen on Saturday, which is so exciting. I think this has been, and I don't usually go for the personal life stuff, but this has been done so well. I'm by the time they hit the lights and they come out and the bell rings, like I'm gonna be shaking, like, oh God, what are they gonna do? Just having that sort of feeling, like the excitement, but also the trepidation, like that's rare. And for them to achieve that, not just because like, oh, they're gonna, use every weapon, but like the amount of bile and heat, as you say, in this just makes you think, God, this could go anywhere.
It really could. I do think they forecasted the ending a little bit with this unsanctioned match stipulation, but I'd love to be wrong on that. For me, Slack actually nailed it. I love how serious both these guys are taking this feud. It seems sometimes that irony is just a through line in AEW to some degree, or it really, and I don't mind that. I don't mind if they play. I want a variety show, but it feels like sometimes that's the overriding tone over a lot of the feuds. And this is serious as a heart attack. These are two guys who hate each other entering a unsanctioned match in a cage. Of the three of us, I think it's more than fair to say I'm the hyper violence enjoyer in my wrestling. I've enjoyed deathmatch wrestling for a great period of time. I was saying this earlier in the Wrestling Brain Discord, which again, you can join at patreon.com/J0SHC. $5 a month gets you into that Discord, the all out prediction card, all the solo episodes we do back there. It's a hoot. Patreon.com/J0SHC. You can talk with people who actually have good taste in wrestling during a pay-per-view. It's an absolute godsend. But I was saying how I feel like these guys are not mainstreaming deathmatch wrestling. That's way too broad. But when people, especially on my old podcast, I used to talk about, watching CZW or GCW or Freedoms. It's like, oh, you watch that shit? Like, oh my God. And it's true. Deathmatch has come a long way and is better at the bottom end. A lot of it was just fat guys hitting each other with light tubes. But I really had an enjoyment for the high end of it. And I think people were imagining that I'm watching something way nastier than Hangman and Swerve too. Like Swerve drank Hangman's blood.
Other way around, but
Or
yeah.
sorry, Hangman drinks. There's these moments where it's like, oh, you guys like this. You like 9 out of 10 of the way there. A lot. This is half of your match of the year.
Right.
You maybe
Swerve
need to go.
stabling himself, like, you know. So yeah, I as you say, but like this, I guess my complaint, or I mean, I don't know. I'm not as deep in the weeds as you are, but you know, a death match for the sake of it just feels empty. This obviously is the complete opposite. Like this is the only way these guys can have a match right now.
Yeah, I
You know,
couldn't
like
disagree more. 2 guys earning $100 each in
well,
front of 50 people going out there to the brink of their lives is actual stakes.
Let me
It's
on
actual glory
TV, I
chasing to a
guess.
degree that is so impressive to me. And we'll know Matt Tremont cannonballing through a wine rack of light tubes in front of, 150 people. It's why, dude? Because you're a shady wild man. You have my respect.
Okay.
That's reason enough for this guy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And you know what, I guess I hadn't thought of it in that context. You know, it's
I never done anything that brave, Sam.
no, I probably never will.
Slack, am I right in saying that the unsanctioned match forecast the ending? I think that this gives Hangman Page a chance to pick up a win over Swerve Strickland, but maintain the on the record Swerve, you can't beat me, Hangman, you can't beat me clean promo to each other. What do you think here?
I'm still picking Swerve. I don't know. I am. I think I'm thinking the opposite. Honestly, I think if this match was sanctioned, you can't really have Hangman go 0-3-1, right? I mean, then what kind of a rivalry are we talking about? But if it's unsanctioned, it doesn't count. Swerve could win again, and it's just like that's not a wrestling match. Obviously, it's just 2 guys trying to kill each other. I've thought about this all day with what is this going to look like? I'm picturing them pulling the mat up off the floor, them going in and outside the cage. Someone's getting pile driven onto concrete. Are they going to go, what are they going to do from the top of the cage? They're going to pull out barbed wire boards again. Like, I don't know how you top drinking another guy's blood, but like,
and the hanging spot, man, that stays with me. That hanging spot.
You're going to have interference from Nana, I'm sure, or something bad happens to Nana by Hangman to help cement him as the bad guy here. There's a whole canvas you can play with.
Could we see a crucifixion, Slack? That's what keeps crossing my mind.
For real.
It's happened in a cage before. Now
Maybe.
listen, okay, for the record, I am not predicting a crucifixion to happen on Saturday. I'm not saying it's the most likely thing that happens. But like you, Slack, I was on my bike earlier or yesterday. It's like, man, what is this match going to look like? Some of the most violent things I've ever seen have happened in cage matches. GCW's War Games from 2 years ago, the 4 tag teams. I mean, if you haven't seen that, you simply have to. But these guys, mano a mano, access to weapons, no Nana. It feels like there's a lot of room to play. And I was thinking of what visuals they could go for in this match. And it just, it exists in wrestling history. Not predicting it, but it crossed my mind for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think, like Sam said, not knowing who's going to win and what they're going to do makes this unmissable to me.
Agreed. Sam, I'm on the Hangman. Slack's picking Swerve. Split the difference here. Who are you picking in this match?
I'm on your side. I thought what you said last night was totally correct in that the unsanctioned aspect of it gives them each an argument. And if Swerve were to win, okay, yes, there are all the technical aspects of it, but at the end of the day, I don't think fans are going to really care. They're going to see Hangman's 0-3 against Swerve, and it doesn't really make it much of a rivalry. So I think he's going to win, and you'll have, the unsanctioned, I think it just sets up better to have more matches between these two down the road, because if he loses again, why is Swerve bothering with him again? He's like, I've put you down a third time. I don't care what the notes, the index says, the footnote is like, I put you down 3 times. I don't need to do this anymore. Hangman wins, then they've got arguments against each other. And this continues, another 6 months, another year, who knows? But
no complaints from us.
I think the unsanctioned aspect gives it what you're saying. And I also, if you're gonna sort of pivot one of whoever wins forward. Hangman's obviously a heel, and you've got a face international champ, you've got a face heavyweight champ, world champ. So I think it just slots in better.
So I agree with that, Sam. I also think the Hangman Swerve win, like the one on the record where Swerve beats Hangman, Hangman beats Swerve, maybe for the title, will be Hangman Page as a clear as day babyface win. He will, maybe not clear as day, it'll be violent in these two fighting each other, but he will be I think the win will come once Swerve is being dastardly and Hangman can beat him clean in the end and ultimately is the better performer, and that makes up for the gap difference in the amount of wins. So that'll be the signal for me. When Hangman starts getting on the beer and smiling to the people, I'll be like, here he comes. Here comes the Swerve win. Gonna be a babyface alcoholic. They call that my family. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep that in.
I'm gonna start calling myself that. Actually.
Yeah, not my immediate family, for the record. Like any of them watch this. Okay. We move down to the AEW World Championship. Bryan Danielson putting it on the line after, frankly, just one of the finest matches you'll ever see at All In against Swerve Strickland. He's our champion. He's putting it on the line against TNT champion Jack Perry. Sam, I want you to open us up here. What do you think of the choice to have Jack up for Bryan's first title defense here 2 weeks later? And what are you expecting out of this match? I don't think you're probably expecting Jack Perry 2 belts, but you can talk about it.
No. I like it. I was a little quizzical at first, but then as AEW tends to do, they laid it out pretty easily and pretty quickly by why Jack Perry's in this spot. I pinned you in Vegas. I did this, back in the day. I've won the, and then you like follow the steps. Like, yeah, well, of course, yeah, that totally makes sense. And I also like the pivot. I think this is another, Swerve and Hangman's a better demonstration, but I like the pivot that All In, and I don't mean to label it like a WWE show, but an All In felt kind of like a moments show, and All Out 2 weeks later is definitely a more thought out story show. And even though Jack Perry and Bryan Danielson aren't, the length of some of the other things on the card, they went out of their way to point out why this actually does build to this. I think Jack Perry's been really good since he came back. And his problem has never been in the ring, I don't think. So I think this will be kind of a surprising corker. Danielson never lets you down. So, unless he gets hurt, which he might, he'll tease it. We know that. But I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I don't think, Jack's going to win it all, but, I know we'll probably work some angle out of this. But I think this will be, it actually feels perfect in that whole before the main event, even though technically they will call this the main event. And then the lights out. It's like, oh, this isn't part of the show or whatever. But I think it's perfect in that there's not that much writing on it because everyone knows what's going to happen, but it'll be good and it'll have the crowd, revved up, won't kill them. And then obviously everyone's going to lose their minds 10 minutes later. So
Slack, is it a problem having your TNT champion lose, or is the opportunity at a world title shot ultimately still sort of the better presentation of the character?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the TNT, what do you want to call it? The TNT grouping. I can't think of
lineage?
Words right now. Not even lineage, just the people in that scene.
The scene,
whatever the scene. I mean, they're technically mid carders, right? I think that's fair to say. So I don't think it's beneath them to lose to Bryan Danielson. I don't think it diminishes the TNT belt, especially if it's not a shit heel who didn't win it legitimately or even tried to steal it. You know what I mean? So there's nothing where Jack Perry is some virtuous champion who's holding, his competition in the highest regard. He's obviously going to try to cheat. They're going to try to bring the Elite into this somehow and screw over Bryan Danielson. It's not going to happen, but I think the match itself should be really fun. I think Jack Perry's willing to do anything in a ring. So I have no concerns about this being really entertaining.
Including cut a good live promo, Slack? Does that count as anything?
I said in ring.
I was counting that as in a ring.
That's true. Luckily, think about it this way. He hasn't been in ring cutting promos for a while. I think they're finally starting to figure out where he's good and where he's not. But yeah, I think this will be fun. I wonder what, the Young Bucks saying about we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure this belt comes back to the Elite. What do they plan to do? I guess we'll find out. There's so much going on around this and the tag match that got thrown together at the last minute that I'm trying to figure out where they're gonna lean in with this kind of what is happening with Mox, what is happening to the BCC, and what is the Elite trying to do, and how does that all figure into each other? And I don't know where that's going to take place because they asked Bryan Danielson during the trios match, what's up with Mox? He's like, I don't know. And he just moved right past it. And I'm sure that was on purpose. So again, don't know what they're going to do here. This could be a clusterfuck of weirdness. It could be straight ahead. I have no idea. I just know Danielson's going to win. That's all I know.
Yeah, I like that where the result is clear, but maybe the road less so. You read my mind though, Slack. It's clear we're co-hosts on Monday Night Meltdown, which you can watch every Monday, 7 in the East, 10 in the West, vice versa, on twitch.tv/WrestlingBrain. If you're watching this, come watch Slack and I put our money where our mouths are. We book a wrestling federation in Fire Pro Wrestling. We watch all the matches. You gamble on them. We book together. It's lore dense. You'll love it. Twitch.tv/WrestlingBrain every Monday night, 7 in the West, 10 in the East. Meltdown. But I got a lot to say on this one. This is a perfectly good B pay-per-view world title match, and Swerve and Hangman are serving as your main event and biggest piece of interest, and I get that. I think if this was a pay-per-view headliner on its own merits, I don't think Jack Perry versus Bryan Danielson is that for me. I'll still buy I don't mean in the value sense. I'll buy every AEW pay-per-view 10 years after they're bad. Make no mistake about it. They got my money for ages. But I just, the result is guaranteed. I don't understand why Jack Perry's in this spot at all. I don't understand why it isn't somebody who isn't a champion. I know they did the explanation and they've interacted. I'm just saying in a more divisional sense, why is the TNT championship not defended on TV on TNT, and Bryan Danielson is fighting a contender until the next guy's ready for Wrestle Dream, probably the winner of Hangman and Swerve, I would guess. But so I don't like any of that, and it seems just weird and forced to me. But putting that aside, I think Jack Perry in Chicago is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Mox, whether he appears or not, having a moment, Bryan Danielson talking about him and him talking to Jack Perry on the show is interesting, and all I've thought about since. Do you know how hard it was for me to save that for this show and not say that on the show last night? That was
so crazy. It
was the trial of my life.
You
I was
didn't hurt
dying to say,
yourself,
well,
did
Mox
you?
talked to, and so a Mox appearance, the Young Bucks getting involved. I have interest in that. Slack, you said it nicely. The road there is unclear, and so I suppose that's why Jack is in this spot. I just feel like then you go a step back. It's like, well, did he need to beat Darby Allin for this belt, and Darby had to get a loss to get here to lose to Bryan?
And I'll just say this, Darby's figuring into this story still somehow. And I have no idea what that is. No clue. But he's like, Darby, where are you? Darby hasn't been on TV for 2 weeks, which is very weird for Darby.
And he has a title match in another 2 weeks because Grand Slam is
something's happening, man. And I think Tony Khan said it on the media call today that I tried to just read some tweets about. Keep your eye on AEW TV over the next couple of weeks and what Jon Moxley's doing. And so it may not come to pass on All Out, but obviously we'll get there. I do want to see something on this pay-per-view along those lines, though. I would love to see Big Mox show up. Good.
I guarantee you.
I trust you. If I trust anybody, it's you.
I think I'll go a step further. I think we see meaningful further information about Mox and I don't know if it'll be clear, his alliances. Like if he ran in and hit Jack Perry and Bryan Danielson, what would that mean? If he ran in and just hit Jack Perry, I feel that is the least likely thing. But if he comes in and hits just Bryan Danielson, what does that mean? Or if he hits Bryan Danielson and the Young Bucks, but not Jack Perry, what does that mean? Like there's these different, there's a lot at play there. And I really do see Mox making his presence felt on this show one way or another. It would be, even if it's just, and this would count as me being wrong for the record, even if it's just a strong tease for Dynamite, I cannot imagine we exit All Out without a meaningful Mox presence on the show in one way or another.
I hope so.
So I'm excited in the match in all of those ways for all the bits and pieces. I think it'll be a good match, but I never like when the pay-per-views feel 100% certain in the result for their main event. But this is not functioning as the main event, so I can sort of let it slide. So sorry
There
for
you go.
going so long there, but like
No,
CM
it's-
Punk, I had a lot to get off of my chest.
It's good.
I also want to say, and I don't mean to bring you down. I don't think Jack Perry in Chicago is as big an angle as you might think. Having seen him here twice, or he's going to have a lot of support here. I don't think the AEW Chicago crowd cares about that angle or
Sam,
really.
you're so wrong here. I've seen this take everywhere this week, and I'm not going to call you mean names like I've called some of the people on Twitter for this.
You can. It's fine.
No,
We're friends.
I like you. I wouldn't do it. But that was when he was wrestling Show to Amino right after it happened. He's wrestling Brian Danielson on Sunday.
Well, no, I get it.
The heat difference there is going to be.
I was at All Out a week, the day after CM Punk was fired, 2 days after, and that crowd did not care either.
Yeah, they liked Jack. I am saying that he's going to both steer into it, and Brian Danielson's the most beloved guy in the world.
He'll have the Chicago flag again, I'm sure, and maybe he'll play into it. But in the crowd will be like, it'll be like what it was when he was wrestling Shota. The crowd will boo him as a compliment.
Sure, yeah.
Like they'll think like, oh, that's awesome, and I'll give the response they want, but it won't be a genuine, bileful booing. It'll just be like, I'll play along. This is fun.
I just think it discounts how over a babyface Brian Danielson is, especially right now. The yes kicks in front of the kids. I think basically anybody's getting booed, and Jack Perry plus the Chicago stuff to lean into will have no trouble finding that.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Bobby, Bobby, our great producer on Monday night, had the idea that he should come out to Cult of Personality, or if he can't, which I'm sure he can't, at least do that static sting before his music hits would be
I think he can.
very
Why
funny.
couldn't he?
I don't know.
If you pony up,
but
it's not CM Punk's
they're
song.
using it now in WWE as well, right? They made a re-recorded version, but it is Living Color still.
Maybe
But
there's
do
some
they license it
exclusivity
like they own it
agreement or
for-
something.
Like
Yeah, I
sporting
don't know.
events can play Cult of Personality at them.
Of course, I don't think that's the same thing though.
Yeah, well, that's how Paul Heyman did it. That's how they had Metallica in ECW. The board audio was just the arena audio for all of those songs.
See, I think that'd be
Genius.
great, but I think if he does it, that might actually get him cheered. Like, I think people might love that so much. But like, they wouldn't even want to play along. They just want to love it. I mean, that's what I would react in the arena. So
I
He
think
should come out with a friendship bracelet. He wants some real.
yeah, exactly.
real friendship.
Don't think you know what, Josh? Now I think that's going to happen.
Speaking it into existence.
he's gonna do something. He's gonna do something to antagonize. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Let's move down the card here to the AW International Championship. My friend Mike Noble pointed out to me today, international means the world. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
It's true.
That
Didn't
is true.
someone suggest it doesn't, but it doesn't include the water.
Right. So I suppose Brian Danielson, King of the Sea, not bad.
Right.
With famously cool guy Aquaman. Everybody loves that guy.
Great character, great movies. What's not to love?
Yeah.
I can't go down this well, but somebody told me that first Aquaman was a good movie, even knowing
It
I don't like superhero stuff.
sucks.
I'm not joking. And so I was like, okay. And people were like, oh, it's fun. I know you don't like this stuff. So I went with my friend Cynthia at the time. And 10 minutes into that movie, the dad was drowning. I was like, that's the dad? What's going on? Like 5 people I just never listened to again about any entertainment. I'm not joking. I was like, oh yeah, but you guys thought Aquaman was good. So you just don't get to recommend things to me anymore. That card has been torn up. No entrance into the.
You've been fired from that position. So.
yeah. You're gonna have to find a real auteur director on the come up to recommend to me before everybody else to even creak open that door. Moving on, it's Will Ospreay versus Pac. I think we all are almost sold into this just off the strength of how great that Poison Rana was on the ramp. Anybody else? Just every angle of that thing. How do you do that, man?
I don't
know
know
how you do that.
Two very athletic men. That's all you. That's all you can say.
Indeed.
Yeah, I guess so, Slack. I guess so. They're here. They're going to fight for the international championship. Again, I don't think anybody predicting a title switch here, but Ospreay's shown a willingness to lose in the company that I certainly didn't expect from him, be it to swerve Strickland so early, MJF twice. It's been, or I suppose only once to MJF, sorry, but giving MJF a lot. Any chance that Pac beats Will Ospreay here, Slack? And if not, how do you feel about the match just in general?
That's a very good question. I like that you said that because it's something that's been in my mind as I look through this card. There's so little unpredictability other than the Swerve Hangman match that I almost think there is a chance that Pac wins. I don't think it's a big chance. If you when it comes down to predicting who's going to win this match, I would assume Ospreay's going to win it. Although I don't think he needs to. I
A
don't
belt
think he
always
needs to.
changes hands on a pro wrestling show. If you're picking chalk, you're picking wrong. A belt's changing hands every show. I
you
think there's
also-
like one in history, nothing changed.
Yeah, and you can't tell me that Will Ospreay is worse off without this belt. There's just no way to spin it.
Loses
I
no
understand
allure.
he brought it back to the international name and he restored it in front of, London, which is great. But if you're telling me that Will Ospreay is going to go take the international championship around the world, I don't really want him to. I'd rather he's on my TV. So let's put it on somebody else. Pac needs a win. He's way too good to be the guy who just loses title matches card after card. I would love for Pac to win this match. I think people would be genuinely shocked. It would give Pac an air of credibility that I think he desperately needs. Still picking Will Ospreay, but the match is going to be awesome. I would like to see Pac win this one.
Just to be clear, in the history of AEW, not in the history of pro wrestling, I'm sure there's been tons of cards where the
Yes.
title didn't change or no titles changed. Yeah, it's interesting, man. And Sam, we'll go to you here in a sec because I feel the same as you. Were a Pac title reign is something I get extremely into. Now he's got this trios division run going, and he's going to be intertwined with BCC for a while. So I really can't find a way to see it here. Although, if I'm not mistaken, he was All Atlantic champion and trios champ at the same time. So he has done Pac 2 belts before. So
he's done this before.
So that could maybe be a return, but I don't know. I think he's going to be in trios and sort of doing the whatever's going to go on with Moxley. I think Pac's going to be involved and that's my prediction. So I don't have a ton to say about it. Besides, I think the world of Pac, I think he might even be a better wrestler than Will Ospreay. And I'm excited for this match. I think it will cork, and I'm picking Will Ospreay. Sam.
Yeah, I really would like you guys. I really want to pick Pac. I just can't. But like as you said, if we were talking about Perry and Danielson, we say, well, Mox is going to have to get involved there. Well, then he probably has to get involved here because Pac has taken his spot in BCC. I don't know that it makes sense for Mox to be like a fire starter throughout this card.
Yeah, he's Kane in '97 all of a sudden. Just
Right,
he's appearing.
But I sort of wonder, but like it makes total sense that Pac has taken his spot without any explanation. Are we going to get it here? How he feels about it? We've seen Pac with this title. He's taken it around the world, which I thought was awesome. Seeing the footage of him in England and where Mexico, I think he took it to. I'm not sure. But yeah, Slack's right. Ospreay does not need this title, but what happens if he loses it? Are you kind of cheapening what went on before at Wembley? I don't know. So I think he still takes it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's actually some shenanigans to this one.
I'm excited to see if that's the case. A Ricochet appearance is something I could see here, not interrupting the match, but just standing on the ramp and staring down Will Ospreay at the end for the teasing that's coming down the line. That feels But again, if you wanted to make your point, Slack, something I was thinking of as you were speaking is Ricochet and Ospreay just don't need a title on that match. That match is going to be a event that the exact AEW people say, oh, it's only an online thing. That's the AEW audience player. Like this match will.
That's another word for sickos.
Yeah. Like that match isn't for me. Their 2016 Battle of the Super Juniors appearance, but it was. I almost feel like you couldn't overstate how viral that match was when it first came out. Everybody when was the last time a match had that sort of people were just talking about the actual match? In some ways, I suppose I missed that. It wasn't for me, but yeah, hugely impressive to pull off, and they'll do it again. So maybe they don't need the title slot.
Even when even people who hated that match will tune into the second one,
no doubt,
just to hate watch it.
I wouldn't even do that. I have no trouble saying that's a must-see match for me. They'll evolve it in some ways, and I've heard the criticisms, but do a bunch of the sequences.
Yes, absolutely.
There's my opinion of Will Ospreay is so high, man. He is not at all my style of wrestler, and I think he's so great. That's so hard to do. Somebody starting that far behind the starting line for like the guy who represents the style of wrestling I enjoy most is probably like Shingo Takagi or something who's active right now. Will Ospreay isn't really that, and he's managed to just be so must see. But some guys bring out his tendencies that I don't prefer, and you have to think Ricochet would be on that list. All right, here's where I think the unexpected title change could happen, gentlemen. So we'll go to you here first, Sam, and I want to know, do you think I'm crazy when I say I think there's a chance Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta are going to beat the Young Bucks, Matthew Jackson and Nicholas Jackson, this Saturday at All Out?
Oh, I'm with you.
Oh, shut her down, baby.
I'm with you.
Love and energy, everyone.
Claudio and Wheeler have actually looked really great together lately.
Claudio's
I think
unbelievable, man.
I think Claudio's probably going to be in the C1 again. And this would be a great way to sort of make him feel like the monster he did last time we had this, the tournament. And you just need to do something different with these tag titles. Again, this is getting into BCC Elite. What is Mox doing? It's all part of that. And I think multiple title holding Claudio starts to feel his oats. And maybe this is a three-way battle for what BCC is doing between Danielson, Mox, and Claudio, or they split up three ways. You know, it's not just the dads are fighting for this. You know, Yuta and Claudio each holding two titles gives them clout. It just feels like there are just way more angles open if they win. And it feeds into what looks like is going to be the main feud for Dynamite going forward. If, you know, if we kind of pause sort of in Hangman for just a little bit. So yeah, I think they're going to win.
Slack, are we crazy, or are Sam and I on the damn pills, or is there a chance that the BCC could be picking up the tag titles on Saturday?
Well, Sam might be on pills, but
no question. Yeah.
But I do, like I said earlier, I think some title has to change hands on here, and this is another opportunity for them to do that if Will Ospreay is going to win. I would also still pick the Bucks, and I think what's interesting is that the reaction to the Bucks winning this match, even though this match was literally made this week, will be, I think, pretty hot. People will be pretty pissed off in the arena. A lot of booing, which they enjoy, and I get it. I don't know. Again, there has got to be some kind of shenanigans either here or in the title match. Something stinks to me, and stinks nice. I think it'll be cool. Whatever, they got something cooking here. I would be shocked if these two matches just are straight ahead wrestling matches without any shenanigans. And I welcome some. Obviously, not everywhere, but I do expect something weird to happen here.
It's rare. It's rare for AEW to pull shenanigans on a during the pay-per-view match. You know, Hangman being on the outside of the main event of All In is like, that's as like close as they get. They don't do schmozzes. They don't do this, but when they do it, it feels like a pivot for the company, you know, in story. So I'm with Slack. I feel like something like that is going to happen here, where they're setting up what they're doing going forward. And it'll feel special. It'll feel immense when they do.
I'm really excited for this one just as a match to watch too. I don't get nearly my fill of tag team wrestling in AEW. I really like tag team wrestling, and they used to be sort of the standard bearers for it. And I feel like again, this is very tread territory for the channel, but I feel like they've gotten away from it a bit. And when I think of the possibility, I'm not the world's biggest Wheeler Yuta. I mean, I like him, but I don't see the future in him like some people do, where they are like, oh man, Wheeler Yuta alongside Daniel Garcia, or maybe not there, but I don't see him going much further than he is. But I gotta tell you, man, I'm as big of a Claudio fan as there is, and I thought last night on Dynamite, he just looked like a guy who was ready to win a title. Like, that was a number one contendership performance, just on fire on Dynamite, standing. He's in there with Will Ospreay and other greats in that match, and I really thought he was the obvious ball knower standout of that match. Like, if you know what you're looking at, Claudio Castagnoli decided to take over that match at one point last night and just looked phenomenal doing it. So the idea of him and Wheeler, sort of a small guy, big guy tag team who have more dates on the calendar to actually be on the show and sort of holding it down in that way, that all works for me. But even here against the Bucks, I think this is a great matchup. I think this is going to be, as a match, a lot of fun. With the Jacksons are always good with Claudio or other big bases and can sort of indulge their lucha tendencies. You know, there's going to be moves where he catches one or both of them and doesn't move somehow. Always impressive. So as a match, I'm excited for this. I think there's a real chance. I'm picking Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta to pick, so I think there's a real chance of a title change. And yeah, all fronts, just very much looking forward to this on Saturday night.
Very fun. I like that you hyped me up for this match more than I was too, so I appreciate that.
It's always, I feel like these shows always do that for me. Just talking with you guys, I exit them, be like, oh man, when's
I
the
mean,
damn show?
I'll always be hyped for a Claudio match. Like for anyone who hasn't, if you get the chance, like you kind of have to see Claudio up close live once, because after that you'll just be convinced he's an alien.
Yeah,
Like
he does.
he's an immense man who moves like someone much small. It just doesn't seem real. Like he's physically maybe the most impressive wrestler I've seen.
Yeah,
Because
the commentary got into people's ears about Brock Lesnar, which is obviously incredibly true about Brock Lesnar. He shouldn't move that fast for a guy that size. How's a guy that size move that fast? Claudio's that, but for every intangible you could have. How does he fly so smoothly? How does he move so fast? How does he still look proportional at that size? Like he just looks like a guy who's 6 foot but is gigantic and so yoked. Like it's all unbelievable, Claudio Castagnoli. So couldn't book him strong enough for my money. Slack, I have horrible news for you.
Uh-oh.
Camille is barred from ringside. No big lady good on this pay-per-view. Simply Mercedes Moné versus Hikaru Shida for the TBS championship. I don't like the call to keep Camille away from this match. And like I said, it was bad news for Slack, but they just introduced this act. Who does
this help?
Second pay-per-view to Fels, like, we saw her do it. We saw that.
What does it do though? If and I know we want to see Camille, but if the Renegades come out and join Monet Corporation,
I take back what I said then that's cool.
That would be sick. I really want that to happen.
If she needs additional help because Camille's banned and that's her putting together a faction, I will take back what I said. I'll go on Dynamite or on Double Dudes. I'll say I was wrong. That was cool. So would love that.
I'm hoping that's what happens. I think there's a realistic chance that it does. I thought maybe I'm alone in this. I don't know. I thought Sheeta's backstage promo was awesome. I loved her outfit, her gloves. She looked so cool. I know she's been playing a lot of Yakuza games.
Hilarious.
So she's like big into Majima and trying to like
got mob boss vibes now.
Yeah, which is great. I love when she leans into that stuff. But her promo is really good, and I believe her when she says I'm the ace, which is cool. I don't think she's gonna win. I would love for her to start some kind of stable where she can lean into the mob boss character more and have a couple of people with her. So she,
Slack,
that would be sick.
I was just gonna say, what if the Renegades come out and help Sheeta?
Okay.
Like
interesting.
If she's gonna be a Yakuza boss now, she needs henchmen.
That's what I'm saying. There's would be great henchmen. Either way.
Yeah, I want to take it back. I won't say I was wrong because it's still ultimately cooler for the babyface if Camille comes in, they bump Camille, get the big hope spot. They've taken out the heavy. Boom! Now the Renegades are in. That's still stronger than if Camille's never there.
Yeah. It'll be a fun match. I realize that we've seen it recently. I still think it'll be good.
I didn't like their Dynamite match.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's more on the table. Maybe that's what they were thinking too. Like we can do better. I think the Brit thing is just like banished from history, like the White Sox World Series. It never happened. And yeah, I think, Tony Khan on the media call today, he shouted out Mercedes Moné for her match with Momo. Yeah. And he didn't even mention it. And that match I thought it was great.
I like that match a lot too.
It was really physical.
I actually thought Kate from Fightful, and sorry, Sam, we'll get to you in a second here, but yeah. I thought Kate from Fightful really put it nicely. I don't know if you saw that. Mercedes shouted her out on in her newsletter today.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was super cool. But Kate was basically saying, you see Mercedes in front of 50,000 people. She brings this huge presentation and fills the stadium. But here she is in front of 1,500 in New Japan the week after. More dancers, brings just as big of a presentation, arguably has a better match, in my opinion, has a better match.
Yes.
You have to give a star.
To have a worse one.
Yeah, yeah. To some degree, man. Like Britt.
Seeing her go around the ring afterwards and just take pictures with everybody. I mean, she's genuinely a superstar. It's awesome. I just think people criticizing her are out of their fucking mind, to be quite honest with you. She's such a draw for me just to have her here.
Yeah, she loves it.
I will say I flatly like her better in New Japan, though. Some people are just like that. I think Takeshita's in that lane now, too. Some people I just like on the blue mat, and Mercedes comes alive there in a way that I think is cool. Takeshita,
no question. Yeah.
I'm gonna pivot off something Slack said. And Slack and I've talked about this. I feel like I don't think it's much of a secret. Mercedes calls most of her own shots backstage. I'm guessing she's got a big say in her booking. So I have to believe she said no. I can do me and she can do more than we did on TV. Give us another crack at it. I thought it was a weird call. I also thought it would have been hilarious if Thunder Rosa came, had a great match with Mercedes 2 weeks after Britt totally fluffed her lines.
That
So
would have
that's
been
what I was
hilarious.
rooting for. But I as we've talked a lot about it on the Discord with Sheeta, there's a known floor, especially when she's in there with someone who's really good. The match won't be bad. How good it can be, I'm curious. But I also think we keep saying this, but like Sheeta's going through some sort of character change here. Camille Ben, something's gonna happen here. I don't know what. Maybe it's just the Renegades being part of Mercedes. Is the problem with that is a women's stable in AEW. Well, there's no tag title for them to chase. If you want to set it up that way. So
Tony Khan, you might be watching this. For the love of God, stop adding belts.
Don't
He's
no
gonna
more
hear
titles,
this and be like, "Oh, I
please.
got the solution."
No, don't do that. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm asking for. So I don't want a show full of shenanigans and run-ins and all that, but just them having a straight 8 to 12 minute match where Mercedes wins. What's the point of that? I don't understand.
Yeah, well, you have Mercedes, be it her faction mates, who she's wrestling. You have to use her to get other people over. It doesn't.
Right.
She's so capable of it and has the star power to do it.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's just someone coming out after the match and being her next challenger, someone who feels immense. I don't know. I can't think of who that would be, who's not around at the moment, but maybe it's got to be something at least that, but probably more.
All right, raise your hand if you could talk yourself into a Sheeta win if you had to.
Oh, I could.
All right, Sam, let's hear it.
It would be what I laid out. The Renegades run in, but they're part of her new Japanese mafia. And they, without Camille there to police.
Yeah.
For Mercedes, they cause interference. She wins. Mercedes moves on to the top title.
Because that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Who's next for Mariah? Crossed my mind is why I asked that question.
The problem is they're both heels at the moment. Obviously, you can play with that.
That is true, though.
Hayter is there somewhere soon. We can say that now. She's back. It's no more wish casting. We can talk about Jamie Hayter on these now. But yeah, I could talk myself into it easily. I just don't think that's what's going to happen.
Slack, what would be your argument? I think we're all picking Mercedes, but if you had to get there.
Yeah, I think Sheeta, there's been a couple matches in history where she won and I was not expecting her to win. There's been a couple. I wish I could point out specifically which ones I'm talking. There was one literal title match she won that I did not see coming.
It should be Tony.
I think it was her third win. I was kind of genuinely surprised by it.
I think Sam's right. Yeah, the Tony Storm title win.
It was shocking to me that she won. So I don't know. It's Sheeta. We're not talking about some mid-card nobody. This is a 3-time women's champion, not TBS champion, women's champion, who was the longest running women's champion at the beginning of the show. She's a big deal to the company.
She's more live than Brian or Jack Perry or Pac to me.
Absolutely. She's legitimate. I think when you think about AEW, one of the things they do that is frustrating is you're sort of either you can look at anyone and say you're a world title contender or you're not. You're serious or you're not. We know a real title match when we see it, and we know a filler title match when we see it. And I don't think Sheeta falls into that filler title match category. So that's how I would talk myself into it.
Sheeta also, I would say, suits being a TV champion more than Mercedes in some ways. Although you have a new TV deal coming up, Mercedes having your channel belt probably doesn't hurt. I'm picking Mercedes, but thought that might be a fun exercise.
Same.
Yeah, I'm still picking Mercedes. I mean, whether she has the TBS title or not, she's going to be on TV. So, I mean, I could see it. I just Sheeta's doing something here. She's and the Yakuza boss. Okada is in Yakuza. So that just for
That's
I've
true.
watched that boss fight before on YouTube. I've never played those games, but I watched.
I had a
I
couple
watched-
coworkers like message me on the Slack back when I had a job. We're like, I'm playing this Yakuza game, and I think this guy just showed up.
and his theme plays while you fight him.
Yeah, his
Ninjak
theme
style. It's
plays.
great.
Yeah, so
So cool.
I will let everybody watching this know that if the moment All Out ends, you're thinking, God damn, I wish there was some people live on Twitch right now to chat with about this show. God damn, man, I got some news for you at twitch.tv/wrestlingbrain. The moment All Out ends, Matt Prince and I will be live on the channel, breaking down the pay-per-view, recapping it, reviewing it, and a special call-in. Scoots Brodo will be attempting to eat an entire lemon live in the middle of our review show. What other show is giving you a Dynamite review and a man eating an entire citrus the moment All Out ends? Twitch.tv/wrestlingbrain. The Saturday night shows are fun. If you've never been to one, you'll see it's beer and smokes energy, a
Everyone's a
casual
little
late
loose.
night environment.
yeah.
Sorry, Sam.
Everyone's a little loose.
Everyone's a little loose. That's well said. So come check that out. Twitch.tv/wrestlingbrain. All right, guys. From a match perspective, I'm really excited for this one. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, taking on Daniel Garcia. Red Death is back. Hasn't been dancing lately. Sam, how do these two match up in your mind?
Oh, I think maybe a little better than MJF and Ospreay did. I think MJF
Agree.
is far more natural in the kind of match Daniel Garcia is going to want to have. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll be curious. I wonder if he's going to try and do the Will Ospreay stuff to Daniel Garcia now, because he's playing up that jealousy angle of that he's sort of been hinting at, but they haven't really sunk their teeth into. But yeah, it's sort of a much more mat based, catch as catch can stuff. That's more his wheelhouse. He can do other stuff. Don't get me wrong. One of the great things I like about MJF is he can do a lot of things. But yeah, I think this will work a little better. His character, I think MJF's character has been actually kind of lazy. I thought it was kind of lazy last night. But in the ring, I think this will work much better.
Slack, I've seen a lot of talk about, and they can't afford to have MJF lose on pay-per-view twice in 2 weeks. Is this
Right.
real?
Yeah, I do think it's real. I think this is also a feud that wouldn't make a ton of sense if it just ended with Daniel Garcia winning just like immediately. And then what? I mean, what's the, I don't know. I just think you could do more of this. Maybe I'm a little stuck on this because I do feel some type of concern over MJF's current kind of like lazy Trump thing that he's doing. I don't understand why why did he start talking that way though? He's changed his cadence to this, Danny boy.
That's not bad, Slack.
I don't know why he's doing it. It's grating. And I think something that he thinks, and I could be wrong, he's a really sharp guy. He's not an idiot. He reads stuff. He knows the business inside and out. He cares deeply about it. I don't understand if he thinks like, I need to be a heel. People liked me too much when I was just being like a cool heel. So I have to do stuff that actually pisses people off in a way that I know pisses them off, like in a meta sense. Which, I don't know if that's what it is. Cause I remember him saying when he won the title the first time, it sticks with me. He's like, if you think this is bad, just wait. It's going to get so much worse what I do. And it's almost like he's doing some kind of Andy Kaufman thing. I don't know. But regardless, I think this match will be really good. I do think they match up way better in ring. Daniel Garcia is back. He's got like a new lease on life. I'm assuming a nice new long contract. And nobody believes in this place as much as Daniel Garcia, other than Darby Allin. So like he's one of my guys in that regard because I do
The world's
cheer for
greatest
the-
wrestler, Darby Allin.
That's correct. Hopefully world champion at some point soon.
But Slack, his contract is bad for the wrestling business.
Yeah,
I don't
of
know if you
course.
heard.
I did.
So he's clearly ruining everything by getting
That's exactly
paid.
right. And again, if you make them mad, like I'll love you 50 times more than I did the day before. But no, I think the match will be good. Again, take out all the mom shit and all the other stuff. Like, I'm gonna bang your mom or your mom's a whore or whatever. Like, hey, that's great. Stick to the I'm gonna break your neck because you
Right.
hurt me. And that's all I need. I don't need anything else.
Yeah, not to harp on last night, but like, oh, your mom, I won't be the first guy. And like, oh, your mom has sex. Good for her.
Yeah. How do you think I got
Like,
here?
like, yeah, right. Like, mom needs it too. Like, I don't get it. I don't agree with that take either, Josh. I think MJF can absolutely lose 2 pay-per-view matches, and I think he should. And I think it should cause him to really refocus what he's doing with the character. I don't want another you people promo about why he's heel again. That's the easiest wrestling trope. MJF's better than that. I think another loss to another young and up and coming guy, another, like him, but sort of Daniel Garcia isn't considered in the same class as MJF, but they're about the same age, aren't they? Like they're not.
I think roughly, yeah.
Yeah, but the Daniel Garcia is sort of considered more up and coming, and MJF is established. I think a
Right.
loss here would be a good way to refocus MJF, even if it's into that jealousy angle that I was on top and now us, people love this guy and now they love this guy. Like, let's go into that. Don't give me the, and his, when MJF's at his best when he's addressing his inferiorities without addressing them. I think him losing here, maybe just going away for a week or two and coming back or whatever, gives him a chance to really take some time and put some real effort into what his character is going to be, because the whole Osprey thing in this one has just felt like going through the motions, and I don't want to feel that way about MJF.
I think AEW has a chance here to make MJF versus Daniel Garcia, John Cena versus Randy Orton, but good. These can be
What if?
what if? Remember when the 2 of them, what was it? They beat 16 guys on Raw, was it? It was like 2 versus 16 handicap
God
match.
damn it.
The best.
So good.
But I think these are guys, and when I say that, I'm only saying I think that these are guys that you can have in a sort of swerve and hangman way, go apart, come together, go apart, come together. Even though I haven't loved a lot of the recent MJF work, I view them as peers in a way I feel like Sam was getting to, that I just see them as guys who will be in one another's orbits for a while to come. I don't know if Daniel Garcia will hit the heights of MJF, but I kind of see them as maybe not talent equivalents, but I could see giving Daniel Garcia a world title push at some period of time, I guess is what I'll say. And I think there's a chance Daniel Garcia uses MJF's ring against him to win the match on Saturday night. And that this starts a chain of events where MJF does a losing spree, loses his mind, but is immediately can still feuding with Daniel Garcia. This is a feud continuer, not a clean finish. This is Daniel Garcia stooping to the MJF level to get the win, and then MJF going insane.
And then they could have a match for the ring,
I think that was exactly what the next thing would be, is they would have a dynamite match for the diamond ring. MJF would obviously win that. He'd go 100-0 in those. They'll never lose the ring in a match. And you can go from there. So that's what I think is going to happen. I'm picking Daniel Garcia to win here, very narrowly though. This wouldn't be a bet for me or anything. If MJF just wins with the brain buster, part of me will go, well, yeah, that was always going to happen. But I am picking Daniel Garcia, and I think that you will see these guys continue their feud out of this. I don't see where either of them are going in the immediate future outside of one another. But I want to throw this your guys' way. This was I was on my bicycle yesterday. A lot of thinking on the bicycle.
Good for that.
And I was wondering if Daniel Garcia loses, they have this ring match, but to win the ring back, this is the return of Wardlow. And you've reset MJF to 1.0. He's the ring bearer once more. He has Wardlow beside him, and this character shift that we're all sort of craving for him is not a shift at all. It's a Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. Tap your heels. You're already there. He goes back to MJF 1.0. How would you guys feel about this, regardless of if it's going to happen or not? Slack, we'll start with you. Would you feel good about MJF ring on the pinky, Wardlow beside him?
No.
Talk me through that.
I think we got rid of Wardlow, and I think we need to keep him rid.
Do you think we never see Wardlow get out of AEW?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, that rocks.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think they were just like, look, man, we've tried different stuff here. People don't give a shit, and when you stand up against actual guys who are big, you look small, and you don't.
It's true.
It's like it's I mean, it is a little bit embarrassing. I feel bad for the man, and I'm sure he's mad, and I'm sure he thinks he deserves better. And maybe he'll get an OXT contract whenever his thing runs out. But you got to remember, like, time goes so
They're
fast.
not going to let him crush Punk, I don't think.
No, probably not. Time goes so fast that his contract's going to be out before you know it. I mean,
probably
they're
right.
just, I think they're just like, let's run this thing down. He'll quietly get his free agency and we can be done with it. Like, we cannot dedicate time to this dude on our TV show anymore. We can't.
Sam, how I arrived at thinking about this was because I just feel like MJF needs something. Because I feel like his talent supersedes what we've been seeing lately. Whether it's lazy, like you guys said, or I think he just doesn't have a clear vision of who he's trying to be. There was the American title thing. Then, like Slack said, he's very aware. He knows this isn't really working, largely because they're in America. A reminder.
In the South.
Yeah, in the South. Just
let me pivot this way. All that, but instead of Wardlow, it's Powerhouse.
Okay. He's drawing Firm 2.0. He's just hiring.
He's hiring the good version of
the Firm should have been good. That's what's sickening about it. I like that lineup of guys, and it was just gone so quickly. But I
mean, I love Powerhouse. I wonder if he can be on his own. Like, I sort of wonder if he doesn't need. He's more than someone's heavy, but like, you could have him be MJF's heavy while still like contending for the TNT title or something. Like, he can totally do that. I don't know. I could see it. I don't want it to be Wardlow. I think Wardlow maxes out at some sort of ROH run and that's it. But
maxes out, get him.
He's done.
I'm confident. I'd be fine with that.
Confident.
He's gonna be working freaking Joe Henry any minute now.
If MJF wanted to go, if MJF wanted to go back to version 1.0, there'd have to be some sort of twist on it, like a sort of ironic. I'm going home again, but like, you know, sort of a postmodern calling attention to the fact that he's trying to recreate this. You know, honestly, I just want him to try. Like, I just want him to do something that it feels like he's put work into. I feel like he was put in a hard spot with Ospreay, where they're like, we're putting the title on you, but you've only got 3 weeks to create something when we take it off you. And now he's only got 2 weeks. He's only got 2 weeks before he pivots to Daniel Garcia, even though there's some history there. So I want to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but it's going to, you know, the final judgment is, okay, where are you going after this when you've got time now?
Yeah.
What if Henry writes a song where he says, I'm bored low? That could, you know.
Oh, chart topper.
Well, here's the thing. His name's Mike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Wardlow. His middle name, maybe it starts with an L.
Oh, wow.
What are those initials? What is that?
MLW.
That's right. That's where he's going.
He's going to Battle Riot.
You said it, brother.
Oh, I think he'd be NXT champ in within a matter of
weeks. You think he beat Ethan Page? Come on. That's the best wrestler in the world.
He must be misremembering, because I saw that guy with the title. He wasn't even conscious what he wanted.
Well, that's not what I heard.
Flatlined onto the guy.
I heard it's the best show on TV.
That shouldn't count, man. Okay. So this site that I'm looking at here, the SmackDown Hotel, has this listed as a CMLL Women's World Championship Chicago Street Fight. I was looking for this on TV yesterday. I don't think they've confirmed that this is for the CMLL title, have they?
I thought they had.
They have.
Okay, then I'm mistaken. Congratulations, SmackDown Hotel. It's me who is the rube. You're a cool website. And I'm not even joking. I like the layout of this card a lot. They have images. Big shout out to the SmackDown Hotel. Will you check in and never check out?
It's very relevant, very, very now. Good for you.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, what decade is it? It's Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander, with Stokely Hathaway in her corner, the latter. I'm pumped for this one. Who doesn't love a street fight? These two have a great dynamic together. They've worked together forever. The hot feud continues. I do think this will end it for a while. Hope this gets a little bit of time in the middle of the show, can sort of be like your meaty big plunder match. What do you see here, Slack? How's Willow and Chris gonna go?
Well, I happened to catch, you know, I in my Twitter feed, I think she's got a title defense in a week or 8 days or so in Mexico. So, I mean, they could easily swap her out.
Sure.
Taking on Zeuxis, who I think was pretty cool when she was here.
Yeah, we all liked her, I feel like.
I was into it. So I don't know. Jeez. I really feel like Chris needs to win. I just want her to have some legitimacy behind this heel run. And it just can't be her and Stokely yucking it up and not winning. So I would love to see her win. I think she's a really great pro wrestler. And so is Willow. But I get the sense Willow's going to win. And I don't know why. And it doesn't bug me, but I want more for Chris. So that's where I'm at. I'm a little conflicted. I'm going to enjoy the match. It's going to be brutal. I think Willow really shows out in these kinds of matches, and Statlander's like a stunt woman or whatever she used to do. So she's got, I'm sure, all kinds of crazy shit planned. And I don't doubt in real life that they are friends. So they've probably been planning this for a while. They'll probably come up with some really cool stuff. But yeah, I'm picking Willow. I would love to see Chris win this match and kind of, like they've been contained in this feud and they both should be in a title scene somewhere, I think is what I'm trying to get at. Both excellent. Both have championship looks and in-ring ability. So
I think they're two of the best 4 women's wrestlers in AEW in this match.
I agree. Absolutely.
Sam, do you share in Slack's conflict? Which way this one's going to go? Do you think Willow's going to win? How are you reading the tea leaves?
Well, I didn't know about Willow's defense in 8 days, which colors it a little bit.
He is right, though. They change stuff like that.
They could change that out. I do think it's a little strange that they're having a title match for another company that they've put their own stipulation on and sort of just like got the okay from the company whose title this is. Like, it should be like CMLL says this is a Chicago street fight. You don't get to say it's a street fight,
Who's saying
big barring that? That's just weird. I think I'm actually more. I think Chris has to win this because ever since she turned on Willow, what has she done? She's lost to her twice, right? Before winning the mixed tag, which is that really anything? I don't, her chopping Ishii is awesome, but it's not, it's not really anything. If she loses this, then what? I think if she wins this, okay, you've got 2 heel champions in the women's division. It makes for an odd, where does she go? But it also lines up perfectly for her to be Hayter's like gatekeeper match, the one she needs to round into shape before she goes after Mariah or Mercedes, whichever way they're going to point her. Chris Hayter, we all want to see that. That could be on Grand Slam. That's totally worth that. I'm speaking.
They
Slack's
have wrestled
language
before in I think a tag match of some kind.
Right.
She picked up 2 people at once, Chris did, and one of them was Jamie Hayter.
Hayter. And Jamie Hayter looks a little thinner now, so maybe it's easier for her.
Yeah.
Willow, you can't say this forever, but like Willow is such a star that she can take a loss here. And it would make Chris, because Willow has sort of become like the street fight, no DQ, on other than Thunder Rosa on in the women's division. So it would be like Chris winning her match. And it would do wonders for Chris, I think. I don't know how much more it does for Willow than we've already got. You can't depend on that forever. Willow's gonna have to, do something soon. But there's just much more benefit for Chris to win this than Willow.
I hate them using the CMLL belts.
Yeah.
They don't do anything for me. I don't follow the Fed. We have the World, we have the TBS.
Right. We've got Mercedes with the NJPW Strong, which fine. We've already got so many titles. We don't need to import others.
They just made that belt because she was a free agent.
Right.
I have found this match incredibly difficult to pick for reasons you guys laid out nicely. So the street fight, I feel like immediately I go, oh, well, Chris Statlander will win because you'll have Stokely Hathaway involvement. And finally that 2v1 comes to bite them in the ass. There's no Ishii here this time. Maybe Ishii runs in, you get like a moment, but ultimately I felt like, okay, well, the heels win there. But I do feel like the momentum is in Willow's way just for, and you grazed this, Sam, the prevalence of heels at the top of the card of the women's division right now. It's like every division could use Willow right now, be it Mariah or Mercedes. I don't think you probably go back to Willow and Mercedes, but a prevalent babyface right now is incredibly clear where they'd go, whereas Chris Statlander, it's not as clear to me where she could go, where she could just slot into a feud with Jamie Hayter after this and is another. So I don't know. I find it really hard to pick. I'll go on the record with Willow, but the match layout tells you that the Stoke plays a role. And like, that's how Willow gets her heat back, is Chris wins and then Willow just bombs Stoke through something to get the crowd back. And That's what you'd think would happen, but I don't know. I'm confused on this one. I'll go Willow Nightingale, but it maybe should be Chris Statlander. All right, gentlemen, let's round out our talk tonight with the Continental Championship four-way match. The one, the four-way on the card, or the Continental title. This drives only me crazy. I recognize this. This is not actually a big deal, but I'm driven insane by this. I thought we all agreed this is the singles, no interruption thing, and now it's a fatal four-way? Go for the TNT.
Well,
oh, wait, he's fighting the world champ.
We agreed amongst ourselves. I guess.
Yeah, I thought, no one agreed with me. I guess it was the real problem here. Regardless, Kazuchika Okada is wrestling on pay-per-view at AEW. And he will be taking on the winner of Lance Archer versus Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy versus Brian Keith, or hold on to your hats, Konosuke Takeshita versus the Beast Mortos, all taking place on I forget what they called it, but this Friday Night Collision where it's all a setup for the Continental Classic match here, creating in what's going to be a very fun fatal four-way. Lots of angles to take on here. I'm going to go real quick. We're going to go Slack and Sam. Boom, boom. Give me your pick on each of these matches. Are you ready?
Yep.
Orange Cassidy versus Brian Keith, Slack.
Orange Cassidy.
Pains me to say it, but Orange Cassidy.
Lance Archer and Mark Briscoe.
I'm going with Briscoe.
Archer.
I want Archer to win.
And Konosuke Takeshita versus the Beast Mortos after their 90-minute Iron Man match. It's also no DQ, except there's no run-ins, only weapons that get introduced in the third fall.
The winner is me.
Yeah, the winner is all of us.
The winner is, let's do this every week. Takeshita's going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
Takeshita's
roads
gonna
here,
win.
I think we agree, probably leading to Takeshita versus Okada in the near future, which is, for my money, I've said this since he arrived, the Okada match in AEW.
I was laying this out for Slack earlier. So in the build to Claudio and Okada said, "I'm the best tournament wrestler ever." We just have Takeshita coming off clearly being the star of the G1. I know he didn't win it, but he's the star of the last G1. Like, he had all the best matches. His name was made. You want to see him there full time now. And I think this just gets us. I don't know if that means Takeshita wins on Saturday, but it gets us to Takeshita being, I'm the greatest tournament wrestler. And either they are the C1 final or they're in the same group and there's two Okada Takeshita matches, the group match and then the playoff decider. This is going to be the start of them basically fighting over the C1.
So I think you guys got one wrong. I think Bounty Keith is beating Orange Cassidy on Friday night. Cool. Because Chris Jericho wants his money back for that jacket. Okay. And him and Big Bill will get involved. Because I don't know who the pin guy is in the match you guys created. You can't pin Takeshita. You can't pin Mark Briscoe. I guess Orange Cassidy is the pin guy here.
You can pin Briscoe. I don't think that's.
I think he could get pinned.
I just ROH champ.
I know what you're saying, and I don't think they care about it that way. Which I know. Yeah. Look, I think Lance Archer being in the match is way more fun. As much as I love Mark Briscoe, and the match is going to be fun no matter what.
No question.
There's no combo of guys that makes this bad. But Archer adds something that
does Okada know how to work a four-way? Has anyone asked him?
He worked one of the original the first Forbidden Door. Yeah, and he'd never done it before.
Cold died.
Yeah. Okada's like, I'd never done it before. 10 times
he's died.
That's why I think Archer's in the match, because you can have that huge spot of Takeshita Falcon arrowing Archer.
They've wrestled, I assume, a bunch. I mean, that's not an unfamiliar matchup for Okada. Fair to say?
Yeah.
He's wrestled Archer before many times.
I'm sure they've been in a ring together.
I would love Archer in there. I think Archer's great. He's
that is awesome. Interesting. Their past.
Yeah, just that it's a comfortable thing for Okada, if that's a concern. I think there's so many things that go through my head about how they could do this. I don't think Okada's losing. I think it's just going to set up more of him and Takeshita feuding that gets us to the Continental Classic, and then you have that sort of fuse lit throughout the tournament where they can, finally have their big sort of comeuppance and have that singles match that we're dying for. I think I could see a world where Okada wins, but obviously doesn't pin Takeshita, and that gives him sort of more, legitimacy to say, you didn't beat me yet. We need to do this again. I don't really see Takeshita winning because I don't think that makes a ton of sense right now. As much as I want him to just get the rocket strapped to him, the Continental Belt isn't necessarily a rocket. A longer feud with Okada is a rocket to me.
One
That's
that
a
goes
rocket.
through the C1 is
That's what I want. I want like Okada, serious yourself up a little bit. You got a guy who's here to kick your ass. He's younger, he's faster, he's stronger, and he's hungry. And you're sitting here putting up your middle finger, calling everyone a bitch, and getting people in the balls. Like, what are we doing? So let's do it.
Lance Archer and Okada have had 6 singles matches together and shared many multi-man matches together. Slack, how does this complete your picture? Okada steals the pin from Takeshita. So Takeshita hits a move. Okada stops Takeshita from the pin and gets it. Like that feels like the way he holds on to the belt, and Takeshita is pissed and
I love
him
that.
Bonus.
Great call. Sign me up.
Josh, as my friend would say, I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
Who's your friend? That's good saying.
My friend Ashley.
Ashley, I like that.
So
she must be from the middle of nowhere to come up with something like that.
Well, she went to school in Iowa, so there you go.
There you go.
I don't know where Iowa is.
So
I know it's in America, obviously.
There's nothing there. You don't need to know where it is.
Not important.
Yeah.
I am picking Bounty Keith to get pinned by Okada on Saturday night off of offense that was clearly Takeshita. Then Okada hits Takeshita with a Rainmaker and pins Bounty Keith. That's what I'm predicting for Saturday night.
Yeah, they're gonna set this up where Okada and Takeshita are like never in the ring alone together for at least a good 5-10 minutes. And then when they finally clear the other two out, you get the stare down, you get the crowd just losing
That's
it.
so true.
I can't wait. I cannot
and
wait.
Then they'll have like a great exchange. Takeshita, I have no doubts they're going to make Takeshita look like the absolute star that he is. And I think, Josh, you've nailed the ending here. I think Okada really sinking into his new dastardly character, sneaks out, steals the pin, and we get the C1 feud. I think I see them in the same group for the C1 having the two matches, but we'll get there when we get there.
Now, the only shame in all this is obviously Beast Mortos eating a pin. Not the most believable thing that can happen in pro wrestling. I see that guy and it's like, oh, he's going to fight someone. I'm thinking, well, the other guy even live. So this is obviously sort of a kayfabe issue for me.
His day will come.
I mean, Tony sees it. This is the Tony Khan push, man. Kyle Fletcher, Daniel Garcia, Beast Mortos, he puts you on TV against good opponents and you lose. That's how you know Tony Khan is pushing somebody.
Yeah. He's read every comment about Beast Mortos, and he's seen a billion tweets where people just literally write the Beast Mortos because it's
and that's a great tweet, by the way.
It is. It's always good.
Well, he's in the Discord, obviously.
People love him.
Tony's in the Discord.
I love when Beast Mortos just tweets that. He just quote tweets something and it's Rower. It's like, not beast enough to have the inability to use Twitter, but beast enough to not be able to write anything but spelling out roar correctly. So a man of layers is the beast, man.
Apparently he's an extremely handsome guy under there, which is problematic.
It rules when luchadors unmask and they're super handsome. I don't know why. It's so if I would look like we'll say Doc Wagner Jr., I'm not even wearing a shirt. Forget about a mask. You're gonna put my ass under a mask. I'm like, I should be Mexican George Clooney. What are you talking about, CMLL? Get this thing off me.
Isn't Penta extremely handsome under that mask? I've heard. I've never
seen him.
I'll tell you this. I will ask Scoots Brodo, who saw Ray Phoenix and Penta at a gas station after I think a Beyond show in Massachusetts. I will ask him Saturday on our post show while he's emptying the lemon. Was Pentagon handsome?
I've heard from a couple of people that like Penta's like an extremely good looking man, and it's weird that he wears a mask, but also awesome. So
it's admirable. There's no doubt about it to me.
Doing guys like us a favor.
Yeah, well, hang on a second. Maybe by guys like us here.
Sorry.
I'm the Portuguese George Clooney. I was relating more. By Portuguese standards, I actually am the Portuguese George Clooney. Well, that's a whole other discussion. Gentlemen, I love doing these preview shows. Sam, thank you for making some time. Slack, you want to tell the people about Meltdown that we do on Mondays?
We mentioned it earlier, Josh. You told a good tale, but yeah, Monday nights, the best fake pro wrestling game you're gonna see. Josh and I leading the charge. It's a blast. We have 2 hours of just a rocking good time. Please come out, check it out, and get on the action.
Sam, anything you need to know or the people to know?
No, I don't really do anything. I will say Slack and I have a weekly podcast about Chicago sports called Live from the Five Hole. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. We say it's about Chicago sports. It will really only be about the Bears for the next 4 months.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Slack won't let me talk about baseball. We all hate hockey, so it'll just be the Bears. But we do it
Gosh,
every week.
why haven't I gotten the invite to be on there and talk a little Chicago sports, a little Cubs and
We had our friend Flube on once to talk wrestling, I believe.
Bruins? Oh, sorry. I need to say this now because I sent this DM out a little bit. I don't do other wrestling show podcasts. I talk enough about this stuff. I don't.
No, I know. We
appreciate
just
the
had
invite.
Flube on because we had nothing else to do.
But my second favorite passion is Chicago sports. So
Oh, clearly.
Wrigley Field,
Sure, that's a place. Yeah, absolutely.
all the greats, man. You guys had a
Much better.
Chicago dog?
How many today is the question?
Yeah, I got a freezer full of Polish sausage, actually. I'm not kidding. I really do. So
Yeah, and that's not your relatives. Great to hear. Okay. Gentlemen, I love doing these shows. I feel appropriately more hyped for Saturday night show. Again, come check out the post show, twitch.tv/wrestlingbrain right afterwards, everybody. We'll see you then. Mondays, Wednesdays in the Discord. Love and energy.
Wrestling Brain all the weekend. 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 Wrestling Brain all the weekend.